Hello, it's Phoebe, and I really need to practice with a metronome more. It's such a helpful tool, and I really should use it more often. Every time I do practice with a metronome, it gives great results. It's like a very helpful tool. My teacher's always telling me to practice with a metronome, but I keep forgetting to. And I think that's because it's an app on my phone, and it's hard to find. It's not super it's not fun. It's not fun to practice with a metronome. So I was practicing this cool solo the other night. Um, and I had gotten all the notes down and stuff, and I was just kind of sitting there playing it like that over and over to cement it into my fingers, and then I realized, wait, this probably isn't a consistent tempo all the way through, so I threw the metronome on, and indeed, I was speeding up at certain parts and slowing down at certain parts, so the metronome, very helpful tool. I need to put in a solid 30 minutes of playing that with the metronome on. But it's just so boring, and it was the time of night where, my mind begins to wander and I go a little bit loopy. I was actually in a voice call with some friends. Shout out to my gamer friends, by the way. We'll all be in a Discord voice call and they'll be playing League of Legends and I'll be practicing my banjo. They're very sweet to bear with me on that because I don't know that the same banjo solo drilled over and over is the top pick for background music for competitive video games, but I love you guys. You guys are the best. Anyway, I was just kind of talking out loud, just talking like metronome, I need to metronome more. Metronome. Garden gnome. Metrognome. Why has no one done this before? So that started my mind going. Funnily enough, it did not help me practice. I got distracted from practicing and started brainstorming about how I could make a metrognome. So I found this metronome that we have, which is like a physical metronome. It's got little controls on it and stuff. Which actually, even if this project doesn't work, this will be helpful because it's, I feel like it's better to have a physical object than just my phone. Also, so I don't get distracted, so I don't pick up my phone to start the metronome, and then 10 minutes later I'm scrolling on Instagram. And then I went looking for a gnome, crawled around in the bushes for about 5 minutes. I nearly gave up, and then I found this guy halfway buried. I think he's a garden store, knockoff Disney Seven Dwarf gnome thing. I really like how he looks. He's so cheery and happy. He's wearing overalls. But I don't think this metronome is going to fit in him. And he's also made of porcelain or ceramic or something. And I'm kind of scared to try to drill a hole in him. My initial thought was take this apart, cut a hole in the back, put most of the electronics and buttons in the back, but take the light, drill a hole in his nose, and put the light in his nose. But the more I looked at it, the more I was like, I think he's just too small, and the metronome is too big. And this is a fairly nice metronome, and I don't want to, break it and then have no metronome at all. Or break my gnome and have no gnome at all. That would be very sad. So I figured I would just document the brainstorming process and the creation process of my metrognome. My plan is to go to the craft store and see if they have any cloth gnomes, little decorative Christmas gnomes that people put out on their mantles for whatever reason, because I feel like that would be easier to work with. So we're gonna go to the craft store and then go from there to see what we can come up with for a metronome. I don't have much of a plan for this video. I don't have this planned out, so we're gonna see how this goes. But yeah, to the craft store. Yeah, so on my way to the craft store, I passed the thrift shop and I realized, that might be a good place to find some gnomes. So I checked just on the off chance that they had some, and they had so many. Roll the slideshow of gnomes. I also got self-conscious, so I didn't want to film videos of each gnome, so that's why there's a couple videos and then a bunch of vertical pictures because I got scared. But I looked at all the gnomes, and I think this one was the best. He fits the vibe, you know? I think it feels like he would play some banjo music or enjoy some banjo music. So this is the gnome that I went with. This is the size of the metronome I have, so that will have no trouble fitting into this gnome. So now the question is, how complicated do I make this? Because what I could do is just like cut a hole in the gnome, stick the metronome in there, I guess not under the beard, but the easiest thing to do would be just cut a hole in the back, attach the metronome, and then it would be a gnome with a metronome in his back. But that kind of feels, I don't know, that doesn't quite feel right. Another thought that I've had is I could, camera's out of focus, there we go, I could put it in his hat. It would like just barely fit. It might stretch the hat, but I could like put it here so that you lift up the hat and then the metronome is under the hat. That'd be kind of fun. But what would be really cool is if I could make his nose flash. We've got this flashing red light. But my dad pointed out that if I put this exact light in his nose, it will just look like he has a pimple. And I don't really want that. I don't want a hairy gnome with a pimple in the middle of his nose. That's not what we're going for. What I'm going to do is take apart the metronome, or just take the back off and look inside to see how much of an ordeal it would be to, like, lengthen the light. Like, if it's just connected to the board by a wire, then I could maybe lengthen the wire and swap out what light is connected. But then what I could do is maybe put the main metronome in his hat and then just have a wire with the light going down into his nose. Or, you know, I could build it into the back and cut this so that it's like a flap, and then like you pull the flap up and you press the buttons, and then you can put it down maybe with Velcro or a button so it stays and it looks like it's just his back. And then you turn him around and his nose flashes. I think that would be the ideal, I think. I don't know if that's doable. So let's open up the metronome. Oh, technology! Is it connected by wires? I don't think this LED bulb is going to be easy to remove and modify. I'm just gonna try to put this thing back together. I'm sure it's a good idea to just kind of squash this into place. So we will be buying a new metronome, partially because I need it to finish this project, and partially because I no longer have a functioning metronome. I feared this would happen. I hoped that somehow the engineering genius that was asleep in me would come to life. Evidently there was no engineering genius asleep in me. We're gonna put this in a bag and give it to our brother. Yay! Alright, here's the plan. I found a little mechanical metronome, like one of those ones that has the little beep boop thing. It says it's only 11 centimeters high, which is this high. So, my thought is, I'll order that in a second if this works. My thought is we can kind of hollow out his hat. It's a little bit shorter than the metronome, but I'm going to take the hat off with a seam ripper and see if I can make some sort of like place where I could attach the metronome or like slot the metronome into place. I'm a little bit hesitant to go in and just start seam ripping after what happened with our dearly departed other metronome, but I gotta say, I do like the look of how fuzzy he is, but I failed to take into account what a pain fuzzy fabric is to work with. I've worked with this stuff on a couple other projects that I've done, and it gets everywhere. Okay, well this is a bit gruesome, but I mean it makes sense. Like, you know, of course he doesn't have eyes, but it's weird to see his hat come off his body. Yeah, I just had to cut through the material. So the hat is stuffed with stuffing, and it just goes straight down into the body, which is also stuffed with stuffing. But I think what I can do is just like maybe put like, I could put like a paper towel tube or something in here to give it like a rigid area to set in on so it's not like bumping into the sides of the gnome, and then do the same up here so it's like kind of a more rigid container. And then maybe I'll attach the hat on the back so I can swing it back and reveal the metronome inside. I'm pretty happy with that plan. So I'm gonna order the metronome, and it says it has overnight shipping, so hopefully we will be back tomorrow, and this poor headless gnome will just go back here with the poor destroyed metronome. We'll be back tomorrow. Okay, it's been like a week or something because I got sick and then I got better and I had to do homework instead of working on this very important project. But I'm back. I just got back from the craft store where I got this that I shall use for his hat, I think. I don't remember what I last filmed, but I got a proper metronome. I think it's pretty awesome. It uses no batteries. It just winds up on the back and you can make it slower or faster depending on where you slide this little thingy. So that's pretty awesome. We need to take into account not just how big the metronome itself is, but how big it is when you factor in like how far the little thing moves. So I was initially gonna like have it inside of a cone made of foam or felt, and then you open a door and it's on the inside, but that won't work because what do you call this? The pendulum? We're gonna call it the pendulum, would hit the inside and then be uneven, thus destroying the point of the project, which is to make a metronome to help me focus. So I bought this because what I'm thinking I'll do is just carve out a little hole to set this back into, to like kind of shove this into, so that the very front of it will stick out the front of the cone, so that the pendulum isn't obstructed, because it'll be sticking out the front. And then I won't have to worry about like how to secure it to the head because it will be wedged into this foam. And then I'll cover this foam with felt. I covered up the gaping hole in his head. I think that's the only development that I didn't film. We're gonna hack into this. I do need to figure out how to attach this to the gnome himself. I think maybe I'll do something with felt. But thing number one to do is insert the metronome into the cone. So let's give that a shot. Okay, well, I started hacking into it. I don't really know what the best way to cut foam is, but I'm just kind of hacking away with a knife and scissors, and it doesn't feel like the most efficient way to cut foam. So if anyone has suggestions for how to cut foam in the future, because like I'm having to dig out from the dig out the inside, and I don't know, a knife and scissors don't really seem to be the best tools for this. I've worked with foam before like this on my flying propeller hat project, which will be getting a video at some point because I have not given up on that. If you follow my Instagram, you might have seen the documentation of that saga. That's a whole nother story. I will get back to that project. All that to say, I've been frustrated by trying to scoop out foam before. I think I ended up using an ice cream scoop and just sitting down and hacking away at it till I hollowed it out. That might be what I end up doing, but like, how would you cut? Oh, it's getting all over my desk. Why am I doing this on my nice desk? It's like the right height. I just need to keep hacking away at it. Maybe I'll get a spoon? I found a spoon. I don't know why it's an extendable spoon. Why is this the only spoon I had in my shed? Not sure where this came from, but it worked. I've kind of shoved the metronome in here. I might try to get it a little bit farther back. This is gonna be pretty awesome. Look at this. Honestly, it looks great from the front. It's just from the side that it kind of protrudes too much. I'm thinking about like gluing this in here, because right now I can take it out, but that also means it could fall out while transporting it, and I don't think these are the most sturdy things. Okay, I think this is looking pretty good. Look at that. I think it's solid. I carved a little divot out of here so I can still reach the little twisty thing. So the next step is I have this felt. Oh, this guy has foam on him. Oh no. Why did I choose the hairiest gnome in the store? He's, okay, he's shedding. I got felt that's the same color as his feet, which was what I used to, to plug the gaping hole in his head. So I'm gonna cover the cone with that felt, which coincidentally matches the metronome. So this is all coming together great. I think I will glue the metronome into place So I'm gonna clean up my desk and then break out the hot glue gun. Okay, I was rocking out to this CD that one of you guys sent me. Will the Circle Be Unbroken? Music Forms a New Circle. It's like a big compilation CD. Anyway, very much enjoying that. Thank you for sending me that. The metronome is in the cone, and it's pretty sturdy. I don't think I need to glue it in, because it's not gonna fall out unless there's like a big shock to it. And it's good to be able to remove it, just like in case I need to. So, that's looking good. I need to tidy up that and make it come to a clean point. And then the bottom, I just folded everything over. I don't know why I didn't just, like, cut the fabric. But now the issue is attaching the cone to the gnome. Now, this gnome is very nicely, like, weighted. Like, there's a lot of beans in his bottom. There's a lot of beans down there. But this metronome is also heavy, which means he's gonna, like, the hat wants to tip forward. So I need to make sure I attach it. Oh, he looks good. I'm happy with this so far. This looks awesome. I was gonna maybe just, like, hot glue it to the top, but I don't really trust hot glue for structural purposes. So I was thinking I could, like, sew the fabric into this fabric. It's hard to sew into fuzzy fabric, though. Because, like, I'm never sure if I've actually sewn into the fabric or just, like, a bit of fuzz. I also want to take a couple elements of this hat, like maybe the leaf and the buckle, and incorporate that into the cone. Because it's such a jaunty little hat that I will probably snipe some of these things to put them on our gnome to be a little bit more decorative. Okay, not sure if it's going to work, but here's what I'm going to try. I'm going to hot glue the heck out of this and just like stick it on there as well as I can, and then go in with a needle and thread and just do like big loops that connect it to this thing. Just like kind of big, I don't know how to describe it, but like big stitches that like go around. I don't know sewing terms, I just do stuff and it works. Maybe like the same kind of stitch I did to hold this top onto the gnome body. It smells like hot glue in here. My hot glue gun is not very good, so hopefully we don't burn the shed down. Okay, well that worked pretty darn well. I feel like I'm not gonna make a habit out of picking him up by the hat, but I don't think that hat is going anywhere. I think that's pretty solid. Oh, you can't, you can't see him. There we go. The good thing about fuzzy material is you can't really see what's going on, so you can't totally see all the stitching from afar, at least. The bad thing about fuzzy material is you can't really see what's going on, so I think a lot of the stitching is into just like the fluff and not the actual fabric. But I think enough of it went into the fabric that we're fine. I wonder if I should brush his hair. Anyway, let's let that metronome do its thing. Okay, sorry, I got mesmerized by the metronome. You hush for a second. Hush. Okay. I'm trying to think, do I like him as is, or do I want to add a little something around the hat brim? You know what I'm gonna do is try to pull some of the fluff out. So I'm gonna try to fix his fluff. Okay, I was just looking in the camera at myself, laughing, because sitting here brushing a big fluffy gnome, I don't know, something about that cracks me up. think it looks a little bit better, but I think what I'm going to do is I stole this off of the old hat. I was thinking I'd position it kind of jauntily to the side, like that, and cut the ribbon so it runs around at least the front half of the hat, just to add a little bit of visual separation. So I'm going to hot glue that on, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, here he is, the complete metronome. I even put a little metro sticker on the side to make him a metronome. But yeah, he's tall, he's fluffy, and he is a metronome gnome. I think he looks very nice here. I'll give that banjo solo another crack here after I clean the shambles that is my shed. I got the vacuum cleaner out. I gotta get all this foam picked up somehow. But there he is. I'm pretty happy. Alright, let's try that solo from the beginning of the video out with the help of our brand new metronome. So, still got to do some practicing on that, but now I can do it with a metronome and do that in style with my metronome. I'm pretty happy with him. I think he fits the vibe of the banjo shed very well. I will say the back is kind of unpolished. There's a big seam and the hat band doesn't reach all the way around, but realistically, I'm only going to be seeing him from the front, so I think it looks good. I'm very happy with him, as I said. I do need to figure out how to read. It says what the BPM is, but I have to figure out how to match that to the little indicator thing, this thing, slidey bit, to make sure I can actually practice, like, at the BPM that my songs are going to be at. But other than that, once I get that nailed down, I'm very happy with my metronome. He's going to sit right here. Actually, it's just about nighttime, so I think he'll look very cool with my little desk LEDs. Ooh, party! Yeah! Party gnome! It's going to be a party in here all the time while I practice. I think he looks pretty good there. Good addition to my desk. And all in all, I would say this was a successful project. Well, that's going to do it for today. Let me know what you thought of this. I enjoyed making it. I mean, I would have been making the metronome whether I made a video about it or not, but it's fun to make a video about it, and I look forward to reading your comments about my metronome. Name suggestions. I don't know why the camera's set like that. There we go. Name suggestions are welcome. I don't have a name for him yet. But yeah, I'm gonna go actually practice, because I spent a good amount of my day making a metronome instead of practicing. So I'm gonna go practice now, because I have lessons tomorrow at the time of filming this. Yeah, that's all. I will see you guys next time for your next daily dose of banjo, and have a lovely day.